Hello. I'm just going to go ahead and turn this on so people can come in. That there. Come on in, come on in. Hi, Beth. Hi, Tracy. Hey, Elizabeth, or Liz. Hi, Linda. You guys were on it. You were just waiting. I'm just opening the group a little bit early to let people come in. Say hi if you're here. Sure. Hi, Tracy. Tracy was messaging me like an hour ago and saying that she was real scared when she looked at the instructions and questioning whether this was a beginner level course or workshop, and I assured her that it is. Hi, Beth. Hi, Linda. We're gonna see how it goes with my kitties. Last time they got pretty mad. Anytime I'm in my studio and the door's closed. Brenda's here. Cheryl's on her way. Yeah, no problem, Brenda. I opened it a little bit early. And they were trying to get in. So if you hear like banging on a door, it's not someone. It's not the police or anything. It's just my cat's trying to get in. Hey, Alyssa. Hey, Kim. Y'all, I'm nervous. This is going to be a big group. You guys are just piling in. I'm glad that, so this is my second virtual workshop, and the first one, we had a pretty small group, so I got to kind of get my feet wet, but we're going to have a big group tonight. Hi, Kathy. How's it going? Did you say kitty or kitty? Oh, cats. No, I'm not locking my children out. I don't have any children that are trying to get in. It's my cats. I'm going to use the words on your sweatshirt as a mantra tonight. Good. That's what I was kind of hoping. My mom loves it that I've been wearing this. Like, I wore it in the weaving video, and she loved it. All right, we're going to let a couple more people pile in. This is also the thing that I found out during the first workshop, though, is that I didn't realize that lives, they do a mirror image. So whenever I'm doing the knots for you guys, whenever I'm saying left, I'm actually going to be doing it from my right, but it will appear as if it's your left, and that is kind of confusing when I'm kind of going through my mind and I'm saying it. So just be aware if I'm pausing a lot before I say left or right, it's because I'm having to think about it. Hey, Kara. Welcome, welcome. Kara, have you done any macrame before, or you've just done weaving with me? I can't remember. Everybody that's piling in, just make sure you've got your kit with you. You can go ahead if you want to, and in the pouch like this, should only weaving. Okay, cool. There should be a wood ring like this. So you can go ahead and get your wood ring out. If you have an S-hook, Roy and Maddie are doing theirs back at school on their own, so if they don't show, oh, no problem. In this video, Brenda will stay in the group, so they can reference it later. That's no problem at all. But yeah, if you guys have your wood ring. If you have an S-hook, you can put it on your S-hook. If you don't have an S-hook, you can also use like a spare piece of rope or a spare piece of string to tie it to your garment rack. Bridget said, I found you a few. Yay! I know for some of you guys I recommended if you have like a coat closet or something, you can be using that. So I would say if you can, yay, Sarah's in here again. Yay, she was in the last one. So if you can, it would be better if you're knotting standing up rather than sitting down. Cheryl is here now. We are all set. Cool. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and turn the light on because I'm just worried it's going to get dark as I'm doing this, but I just like the natural light better. Shay's here too. Yay. Okay, cool. All right. So I know that some people, this is the first time that you've ever been introduced to me in any way. You haven't taken a workshop with me before or anything. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Sarah Harsty, and I run a business called Sarah Harsty Weavings. So I make my own work, and then also I teach workshops, weaving and macrame workshops here in Columbus, Ohio, but also all throughout Ohio, and even in surrounding states I've taught as well. I've taught macrame plant hanger a bajillion times, so you're in good hands. Any questions you have, I've seen them before. So even though I can't see you in your work today, I hope that you'll ask a lot of questions. And even, you know, in regards to materials and stuff, we'll go over that later in the class. But I'm really glad you're here. I think especially during like this quarantine time, as a lot of us have had things that have been canceled, things that we were looking forward to, events, weddings, graduations, things like that. So having something like this, I know that I've been looking forward to it. So I hope that you have too. It's given you something, at least in the last week or so, that you can kind of look forward to. So if you have your kit, you can go ahead and put your wood ring on your hook here. I'm going to go ahead and move this a little bit forward. Everyone, oh hi, we have a couple more people coming in. Come in. Okay. Everyone should have gotten in your kit a bundle of rope that's tied with a colored piece of yarn like this. There's 8 pieces here, and they're 20 feet long each. And they should have also a different color of tape than your other 2 pieces that are in your kit. Those are your 6-foot pieces, which we'll be using at another point. You don't need to untie your yarn yet. If you have, it's okay. But it makes it a little bit easier. If you've got your bundle here, you can find the middle. Your yarn should be right in the middle for you. And you can go ahead and take your hand, and if you just want to run it along to the end on one of your sides, and then you can take all of your ends here and you can put them through your wood ring, and then go ahead and just pull it back so that you have your colored string right here at your ring now. And once you get to that point, you can go ahead and take that colored yarn off. And then just go ahead. You can let your rope rest in your wood ring here. The way that I like to set it up, so you can, if you want to, take like all 8 pieces and lay them flat. I think it looks a little nicer if you do 2 rows and do 5 pieces on bottom and 3 pieces on top. So that's how I usually will do mine. So just to show you here, I've got 5 on bottom and 3 on top there. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just put this back on my ring. Now, in terms of all the knots that we're going to do in this class, I'm going to show you how to do them at least 2 times, if not more. So I recommend, and this is what I do when I teach in-person classes, I always make people watch from beginning to end when I'm showing them a knot the first time through. And then if you want to do it with me while I'm doing it the second time through, I'll do it a little bit slower so you can kind of do it with me. But it helps if you kind of know where you're going and why you're doing the things that you're doing. So just go ahead and watch first time through. This first knot that we're doing is called a gathering knot, and it is the knot that's right at the top of your plant hanger. You'll have one at the top and you'll have one at the bottom. And it does just what it's called. It gathers all of your pieces of rope together. It is the most complicated knot we'll do today. So we're just going to like start up here and then it'll just be like cruising for the rest of it. So to do our gathering knot, you're going to need one of your 6-foot pieces of rope. So go ahead and grab one of those. And I'm actually going to pull this closer so you guys can see everything. Hi, Kara, again. You must have popped out for a sec. Okay. So we've got our rope on our ring, and it's at the halfway point between our 20-foot pieces of rope. So now that the rope is kind of cutting them in half, it's like we've got 10-foot pieces that are all hanging down. Okay. So we're going to take our 6-foot piece, so one of our separate 6-foot pieces, you should have 2, and I'm going to get a little closer here. Okay. So you're going to go ahead and take that first piece, and you're going to lay it under your left thumb. And this is the only one. If you weren't in here when right when I started the group, I was mentioning that because we're doing this live, it actually appears as a mirror image. So all of the other knots, when I say left, it will appear left to you. This is the only one. I tried to do it in reverse and I just couldn't get it. It's too ingrained in me. So it will appear as though it's my right thumb, but it's my left thumb. So we're going to put it under our left thumb, and then we're going to make a U shape with our piece, and your U shape is going to be about the size of your fist, okay, about the length there. So you're going to make your U, and you're also going to put the other side of that underneath your thumb too, so you're kind of holding it down and it looks almost like a little teardrop, okay? Once you do that, you're going to take your piece and you're going to start wrapping it around the whole thing, all of your pieces of rope. So I'm going to go all the way around like that. If you have like a little piece like this that's kind of poking up, you can give it a little tug down. But once we wrap it around, we're going to continue to do that at least 7 times. So I usually like to do around 9 times around. That is the length of my gathering knot that I prefer. But if you have more rope, you can do longer. I would say you don't want this piece to get too short though. Like you wouldn't want to go all the way around until you only have like this much left. You want at least about 8 inches, because once you get it to the, once you get it to the length that you want it to be, you're going to take your end here and you'll see we've got this little bit of our U still left right here. And we're going to take our end and we're going to put it through that U. I'm going in front of the first bit and then behind the second bit. So you're just putting it right through the front there. Pull it through. And then I'm going to grab this whole thing with my left hand and I'm going to pull up on this piece right here. So when I pull up, this part is going to disappear into the middle of my gathering knot right here. So if you pull up like this and it only comes to right here at the bottom, you don't see this disappear up into here, and you can feel it too when it happens. You haven't gone far enough, okay? So you want to pull it up and you want it to go all the way into the middle right here, okay? So I'm going to do it one more time, and you guys can do it with me this time. Everyone doing okay so far? Any questions? Okay. So again, we've got our 6-foot piece. We're going to put it underneath our left thumb like this. And then we're going to make a U that's about the length of our fist. Okay. And when we make our U, we put the other end of it also behind our left thumb, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and start wrapping around. And really, it's going to feel hard to wrap it around until you get the first one all the way around. And then it should be pretty easy. It's just because you're trying to hold all of that stuff underneath your thumb and it feels awkward. So then you'll go ahead and you're going to keep wrapping around. Like I said, at least 7 times. I prefer around 9 or so. And then you're going to have this little U right here. You'll take your end, you'll put it through your U right here. And then you're going to grab the whole thing with your left hand and you're going to pull straight up on this piece of rope, okay? So you'll know pretty quickly if you've done it too tight, because if you've done it too tight, it will feel impossible to pull this up through it to the middle. If you've done that, it's okay. Just go ahead and undo it and rewrap it, okay? If you've done it too loose, I'm going to show you a trick to get out all of the looseness from it. But it will feel a little hard when you're pulling it up. Normally when I do it, I sometimes will even have to like take it off the ring just so I can get like a little bit more strength in my arms there. So I'm going to go ahead, pull straight up. I can feel it now. It's in the middle right here. I can feel it. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to just pull my gathering knot all the way up so it's right at the bottom of my ring right here. Okay. And when you pull it up, if you feel for like your little lump, if it's moved down to the bottom here, you can even pull this up again to get it more in the middle here. That's where we want it to be. And then once you do that, you can give it to take care of all the looseness, if you have any looseness there. Either way, even if it doesn't feel loose to you, still do this. You're going to pull it on either end just to get any looseness out there. So far, so good. Yay! And then once you do that, you're all done with your gathering knot, and you can actually, where did I put my scissors? Oh, here we go. You can actually snip right here at the top, right against it there. Let me move you closer again. It's just right here, and then right there at the bottom. Okay? Everyone else doing okay? Let me know if you have questions. If you're feeling okay. Almost, I think actually everyone that's in this group, I would say like 90% of the kits that I sold are spiral knot kits. So one that looks like this. We might have a couple of square knot kits in here. Brenda said, all good. Kara said, still with you. Snipping seems so permanent. God, Tracy. Yeah, if you're like very scared to snip and it would make you feel better to knot some underneath it, you can take your two ends and just kind of like tie them together right here. But snip, you can do it. You can snip it. But even if you did get a spiral kit, you will still need, I just tucked for now, Linda said. Yeah, that's totally fine. You will still need to know how to do a square knot. So what I'm going to do, and what I do in my classes, so in my class, I usually will show people how to do the square knot. We'll practice it and I'll kind of check them. And then I'll show people how to do the spiral knot, and then we'll practice it and I'll check them. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to do the square knot first, because you will still need to do a square knot in your plant hanger, even if you have the spiral knot. You need it for your basket at the bottom to hold your pot. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do the square knot first, and then we'll practice it a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to do the spiral knot. Okay. So move you close again. Okay, this is where I'm going to be doing my left and my right. So if you hear me like pausing for a long moment, it's because I'm thinking. Okay, so we started with 8 pieces of rope, remember? And then we folded them in half through our ring. So now we should have 16 pieces of rope, okay? We're making a 4-arm plant hanger, but you can also make a 3-arm plant hanger. Once we kind of get started here and I've got y'all nodding, I'll go into a little bit about the differences between those and why you would choose one over the other in different circumstances, so you can know that going forward, okay? But for now, all you need to know is we have 16 pieces of rope here. And so we're going to do a 4-arm plant hanger. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So for each arm of our plant hanger, we're going to be using 4 pieces of rope. If it feels like a lot of rope at first, you can take your other pieces and put it over like the top of your rack so that you're just working with 4. I'm going to put mine right here so it's a little bit easier for y'all to just see these 4 that I'm working with here. Hold on. Let me make it do what I want it to do. And also, we're working with we're working with 8 pieces. The 20-foot pieces. 20 feet, any 4. Try to get 4 right next to each other, Kara. Like, try not to, like, take one from over here and then one from right here. Like, try to take 4 right next to each other. This is for the square knot, not the spiral. Right. That's correct. Yeah. What I was going to say is that it's going to feel a little bit clunky and heavy because we're using these 20-foot pieces of rope. It's a lot of rope. Front, back preference. No, any 4 is fine. You'll use them all eventually. I would say whatever is easiest for you so that you don't have to like turn your ring around or anything. Just take the front 4 that are there. Okay. All right. So we've got our 4 pieces. To get started, I want you to think about these 4 pieces as your 2 outer and 2 inner. I'll like kind of move that over there. Okay. You've got 2 outer and 2 inner. Our outer pieces are going to be doing all of the work for us, and our inner pieces are just here, just chilling out. Let me move this a little closer. There we go. Okay. So, we're going to start with our left outer piece, and we're going to cross it. And again, I'll just show you this knot all the way through, so just watch for this first one. We're going to start with our left outer piece. We're going to cross it in front of the middle 2. And then behind our right piece. So it's going to look like you've made a number 4 there. okay? So again, 2 outer, 2 inner, take our left outer, cross in front of the middle 2, and then behind our right. And then we're going to take our right piece and we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to cross behind the middle 2 and in front of the left. And then we're going to pull that piece of rope through. And then we're just going to go ahead and tighten that. That is 1/2 of our square knot. This is a half square knot, what we have right now. To complete our square knot, we're going to take our right piece and we're going to do the exact same thing we just did, except we're just coming from our right side first. So we'll take our right, cross it in front of our middle 2 and behind our left. So now you should have a backwards 4. And then we'll take our left and go behind the middle 2 and in front of our right. And we pull that through and then tighten. And that's what our square knot looks like, okay? You see how it makes a little square? Okay, that's a full square knot, okay? So let me show you again. We'll start with our left piece, left, in front of the middle 2, and behind our right. So it makes a number 4. Then we take our right, behind the middle 2, and in front of the left. And then we tighten. Then we'll take our right. I just got confused for a second. Okay. Then we'll take our right and go in front of the middle 2 and behind our left. So you should have a backwards 4. And we'll take our left and go behind the middle 2 and in front of our right. And then tighten. So now we've got 2 square knots there. Okay. I'm going to show you, oh, there we go. It's a little bit easier to see now. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you a couple of common mistakes people make. And I'm going to give you a few pointers, okay? So, again, we start with our left piece. And we go in front of the middle 2 and then behind our right, okay? So, common mistake people make is sometimes they'll just go ahead and they're having so much fun going in front of the middle 2, they go in front of all 3, okay? And then when they go to switch to their right piece, you'll see it's not connected here. When you switch to your right here and you've gone behind it correctly, it will all be connected, okay? So sometimes people will do it exactly right in front of the middle 2 and behind the right. But then instead of switching to their right piece, they keep on going with their left piece, okay? So make sure you make that switch to your right piece, okay? And it should just be when you're pulling it through, you've just got this hole right here that's just asking for you to hand it through right there, okay? Okay. So that's half my square knot, and then to finish it, I'll start with my right piece in front of the middle 2, behind my left, and then left, behind the middle 2, and in front of the right. Okay. So another thing that people struggle with is tightening, okay? So when you're tightening your piece, you want your outside pieces to be in your thumb and pointer finger on either side. See that? Okay? And at some point during the process, you're going to have to hold, hi Noelle, come on in. You're going to have to hold these middle pieces down here in your pinky and ring finger. Because if you don't, when you go to pull these, see what happens? It gets all wonky in the middle there, okay? So there's two different ways that you can go about this. I prefer this like inching up method, and that basically just looks like I'm holding down here. I've got my outside pieces on either end, and I'm just inching up bit by bit. For some people that feels terribly uncomfortable, and just to be clear, both ways are going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. I would say that you should try both ways I'm showing you here, and whatever feels better for you, go with that, okay? It's all going to feel a little uncomfortable at first because you're just not used to using your hands like this, okay? So, the other way that you can do it, instead of the inching up method, you can also push this all the way up, then grab down here and pull on either end, okay? The main thing you want to look for though when you're tightening is you want to create a straight horizontal line across. If you pull too much on either side and make a diagonal line like this, it will create holes in your square knot. That's a very like exaggerated hole right there, but you can even just do it slightly. And if you feel like you're looking at your square knots and they're tilting a little bit either way, even just very slightly, just watch yourself when you're going to tighten and watch which way your outside ropes are going and see if you're making that horizontal line or if it's diagonal. Okay? Could you then pause for us and give a quick review from the beginning? Yes, I'll show this. I think, Brenda, you mean the square knot all the way through. I'll show you again a couple more times all the way through. Okay? So that's tips for tightening. Okay? If you are getting a mistake I see my beginners make a lot in class is if you're pulling too tight and you're pulling down instead of to the side like this, it's going to feel, one, like everything is working against you. Like you might have a little soreness after this if you're not used to using like your shoulders so much, and like no shame, I totally like have been there. But it shouldn't feel like the hardest thing in the world when you're trying to tighten this. Okay. So if it's feeling really hard, then you're probably pulling down, and you should really just be removing this excess rope. Okay. So I'm going to show you the square knot again, from start to finish, 2 times through. Okay. So you're going to start on your left side. And here's also a little tip. I know most of y'all are doing the spiral knot, but if you are making a plant hanger and you're making it just with square knots, whenever you do like square knot on top of square knot on top of square knot in macrame, we got us guys. Tracy said, we got to get us back to class to use those muscles. Tracy teaches a hip hop class, and she works us out really hard, and I'm scared for whenever we go back to class. Whenever you're doing a square knot on top of square knot on top of square knot, that's called a sinnet. And a little trick, if you're doing that for a plant hanger, if you look wherever your notch is all the way at the bottom here, whichever side it's on, so it's on our left side here. See this bottom notch? That's the side that you're supposed to start on. Okay? So we've got our notch here at the bottom. I'm going to take my left piece, left in front of the middle 2 and behind the right to make my number 4. And then I'll take my right piece and I'll go behind the middle 2 and in front of the left. And then I'll tighten. So that's half my square knot, and you can see now my notch is on the right side. So now I know I need to start from the right side, okay? So now I've got my right piece in front of the middle 2, behind the left, backwards 4, left, behind the middle 2, and in front of the right. And tighten. I'm going to show one more time through. Left, in front, behind, right, behind, in front, and tighten. Right, in front, behind, backwards 4. Are we just practicing with square knots or doing multiples? Are we doing square or spread? Okay, hold on just a sec, Brenda. So we're just practicing square knots really quick, because you'll have to do a square knot later in your pattern. There should be someone here that is doing the square knot pattern. But we're just practicing doing that. And I promise you'll see the method to my madness in a second. Once you know the square knot, the spiral knot is super easy to do. So we're just practicing to get that under our belt. The square knot is what I would consider the most essential knot in macrame. If you know how to do the square knot, you know how to do a million different things. So no matter what, I really recommend just trying to do the square knot a couple times through. Okay. And then just to finish the square knot, right, in front, then behind. Oh, I'm sorry. Left, in front, then behind, right, behind, and then in front. Okay. Everyone that's tried it, you feel okay with the square knot? Any questions about the square knot? Actually, I'm not going to take this out. I'm just going to turn this around. I'm going to show you all the spiral here in a second. Good to go, Shay said. Yay. Okay, cool. Okay. And so, like I said, those are just practice. I hope you did 2 or 3 of them just to kind of get your feet wet. The way that this will go in class, just to let you know where we're going, is I'm going to show you how to do, we're going to go over the spiral now, and we're going to do a full arm through. So we'll talk about adding your bead and everything. And then I'll show you how to finish up your piece too. I've just been sitting here waiting for the spiral part. Shoot, I should have been practicing. That's okay, Bridget. You don't need it until the end. And you will not finish your 4 arms while we're here on our video tonight. I mean, you might like just get it and you might be going really quickly, but probably not. And so you'll probably have to reference the basket part later of this video, just because I didn't want to keep us on here for like 3 hours. But we'll still go over all of that part with it. Just so you know kind of where we're going. So I'm going to bring this one here that I already have started. And we're going to talk about how to do the spiral. Okay. So to do our spiral, and if you have your plant hanger, you can just, if you don't feel like taking your square knots out right now, you can go to your next 4 pieces. As you can see, I've got 2 arms of this one done. So this was 4 pieces, this was 4 pieces, and then I'm going to take my next 4 pieces here to start. Okay, and then I'll have 4 left for one more arm of my plant hanger. So if you want to, you can take another 4 pieces if you don't want to take your square knots out right now to try the spiral. So to do our spiral, it's going to be the exact same first step as our square knot. You're going to have 4 pieces of rope. You're going to have your 2 outer and 2 inner, and you're going to take your left piece, cross it in front of the middle 2, and then behind your right, and you'll get your number 4. And then you'll take your right piece and go behind the middle 2 and in front of your left. And then you'll tighten. So if you were doing your square knot, that would have been half of your square knot, right? But when we're doing our spiral, we're actually going to keep coming from the same side instead of switching to the other side. So you're going to continue to come from the left side, and you're going to do the same thing. Let me get this closer a little bit. Okay. You're going to go left, in front of the middle 2, behind the right, right, behind the middle 2, in front of the left, and tighten. And then again, left, in front, behind, right, behind, in front. And you're going to continue to make these rows, and I want you to make 6 of these rows, okay? So I've done 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm just counting these middle piece lines here. So let me do my 4th. And my 5th. And you can see it's starting to turn on me, right? It's starting to spiral for me. So now I'm on number 6. And you can see it's gone from kind of facing me head on to it's curved so that it's facing to the right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it where it's curved here, and we've been knotting like this, and we're just going to flip it around the rest of the way. So again, it was like this, we were knotting like this, and it's curved. I'm going to flip it the rest of the way. And then I'm going to continue to come from the left side. Left, in front, behind, right, behind, in front. And I'm going to make another 6 rows. And it's going to continue to turn on me. And the reason I give you that number 6 is that I just find when you're a beginner, it's a lot easier to kind of sit there and count rather than kind of watch for your piece to turn. So I've done another 6. It's turned towards the right here. So now I'm going to flip it the rest of the way for my spiral. Now, couple things. If you are having tension issues, meaning if you're making any mistakes when you're tightening it, a lot of times you can get away with it with your square knot and you can't really tell, but with your spiral knot, there's like nowhere for it to hide. So if you find that you're doing your spiral and it's really tilting, if it's kind of going a little bit diagonal instead of nice straight lines here, it probably means that you're pulling a little bit harder on one side than the other. If you're watching yourself and you are making that horizontal line, it might just mean that you're pulling on one side a little harder than the other. Just make sure if you see that happening, tighten like you always do, and then just give it another extra little tug before you go on to the next row, just to make sure to get any of that looseness out if you were pulling on one side tighter than the other. I hope that makes sense. But just to kind of show you. If you have a little hole right here, if you have that hole again and again and again, it will make your spiral start to kind of slant on you. And you want these lines in the middle to stay nice and straight. You don't want them slanted. Okay. So I've done 2 turns here, And in your pattern, it says you're going to make 21 rows. So that's basically you're doing 3 turns and then another half of a spiral. Okay, so you'll have 3 spirals and then a half before you put on your bead. Okay, so again, I've done 13 rows now because I added another one in there just now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep going here. If anyone's having questions about their spirals, please let me know. I think I'm on 15, 16, 17, 18, and then turn. 19, 20, 21. And the reason that I gave you that number 21 is because if you say you had just done it 18 times and then you wanted to add your bead on, it would actually be turned in such a way that your bead would not show face on. It would have like your string around it showing. So we want to cast our bead in the best possible way and be able to see the full bead straight on. So that's why we do another little half of a spiral there. So it'll sit nice and flat when we put our bead on. Okay. I'm assuming everyone's doing okay spiraling. There's no questions yet. You guys all right? Oh my gosh, it actually looks like something real. Yay, Tracy. Tracy, you didn't believe me. You were like, no, I can't do this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show y'all how to add your bead on. Some of you guys have wood beads and some of you guys have copper. I'm going to show you with the copper first because it's a little bit trickier than the wood. Okay. Here we go. You guys can see that okay? Okay. So, I'm stuck. Bridget, what's going on? Can you describe to me a little bit? So to put our bead on, we're going to, again, we've got our 2 outer and 2 inner ones. And we're going to put our bead on our 2 inner ones. Oh, wait, that's not. Hold on, let me grab. There we go. Okay. We're going to put our bead, it's going to go through the 2 inner ones. I have 22 rows. Better to undo one or make them all 22? Oh, that's a good question, Kara. It's fine. I mean, 22 I think you can get away with is fine. Something that will sometimes happen, especially when you're doing spirals, is that sometimes you have to kind of eyeball it when you're doing your other arms of your plant hanger. So sometimes even when I'm making them like to sell in my Etsy shop, like 3 of them will have 21 rows and then 1 of them will have 22 rows because for some reason it landed a little higher here by the gathering knot, so it just is a little bit higher, and so I'm trying to make the beads all kind of line up about the same height. So sometimes you'll have that where you have to like improvise a little bit, or you might have just like for some reason on one of your arms just pulled tighter than the other ones. So that's okay if that happens. Also, is it normal for 2 of the ropes to be way shorter? Yes, that's a great question. So your outside ones are going to be way shorter because remember our outside ones are doing all the work for us. So they're actually just knotting around again and again and again around our inside ones. So our inside ones are just hanging there. So they don't lose any of their length because we're just knotting around them. But when we knot around with our outside ones, it's using some of our length each time we make that knot. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Bridget, I'm stuck on the very first step. When I make the 4, does the farthest outer rope go behind the number 1 rope? When you make the 4, does the farthest outer rope go behind or around the number 1? Oh, it should go behind. Let me get this out of the way. So, here, I'll show you on clean 4. You'll take your left piece, you'll go behind the, or I'm sorry, you'll go in front of the middle 2, and then you'll go behind, left, in front of the middle 2, and then behind your right piece to make that number 4. Just like that. Does that answer your question, Bridget? So you don't want to go around all 3 of them. You want to go behind your right piece. And that way, when you switch to your right one, these will all be connected. If you go in front of all 3 and then try to switch to your right one, it won't be connected there. Is that the issue that you're having? Let me know. Okay. Okay. So, to add our bead, you're going to go ahead and you're going to thread it through your middle 2 pieces. So I'm grabbing my middle 2 and I'm just running my hand all the way down till I get to my taped ends. That answers your question. Yes, thanks. Oh, good. Okay, good. And then you're going to put your taped ends through your bead and pull, 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 pull till it's all the way up, okay, where you want it to land. So when you're doing your copper, it can be a little bit finicky to get it to lay the way that you want it to. So when you're putting on your bead, and this is the same for your copper or your wood bead, you're going to then do your spiral knot around it as normal. So what I mean is, I've got my copper on my middle 2, and then I'm going to take my left in front of the middle 2, behind the right, right, behind the middle 2, and in front of the left, and then I'll tighten it. So the reason that I say that your the copper is a little finicky is that if you pull too much on one side, it can kind of lay sideways for you. For the spiral, you switch your left rope on the 6th knot. Yes, so you flip it. So technically, and Elizabeth, I don't want you to think about this too hard. This is why I always tell people in class, don't think about this too hard. So technically, once you flip it, the left, you'll keep coming from the left, but the piece of rope that you're using is actually the right piece from before you flipped it. But don't think about that. Just keep coming from the left side, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm too far behind now. Should I jump ship until later? I've got the square knot, but I need to see the spiral knot again. Bridget, it's up to you. I'm going to go through and, I mean, if you want to be able to ask any questions you have, I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about stuff in terms of material, in terms of the how many arms to do, and talk about how to do your basket. So if you want to watch it here live, you can reference it later and ask questions later and just leave them there, and then when I see them I can answer them. It's whatever you want to do. You're welcome to hang out. But keep going. You're okay. All right. No one's going to be at the basket part when I'm showing you how to do the basket part. So I would say keep going. Don't lose momentum. Okay. So yeah, so you just want to watch when you're tightening this that you don't tighten it in such a way that your copper is kind of leaning to one side or the other. And you can kind of go through, you can see I'm kind of like positioning it there. And then you would just, once you do that first row, you'll just do the same thing that you did before. You'll continue to come from the left side. Once you put your bead on, you're starting over with your rows. So you'll put your bead on, and then you'll do 6 rows under that, and then turn it. 6 more rows, turn it, 6 more rows, turn it, and then 3 more rows. So don't feel like, I know because you started in the middle of a spiral, it feels like, oh, should I only do 3 more rows and then turn it? No, you're starting over. You put your bead on, and then you do 6 rows, and then you turn it. I'm going to take this off and show with the wood bead. So again, same thing. Just put your piece of tape through. Especially with the wood bead, you might have to put one end through and then take the other end and put it through. It can kind of get stuck if you try to put both ends through at once. Tracy, especially your rope's just slightly thicker, so you might have to tease it through a little bit. That trick of doing one and then putting the other one through, if it's really tight, you can even push on the side with 2 until this end comes out and then pull them all together. But then it's just the same thing. You'll just do your knot around it. And actually the wood is a little bit easier because, as you can see, it will stay put for me. Whereas the copper, you kind of have to hold it in place while you're doing your knot. Okay? Yeah, I just got it through with some wiggling. Okay, good. Okay, and then you're going to do, like I was saying before, your other 21 rows below it to finish an arm. So I'm going to sit here and work on my rows, and I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things. Same 6, 6, 6, and 3 on down. Yes. I didn't really realize that it would make it like 6, 6, 6. Yes, you'll do your same 6, then turn, 6, then turn, 6, and then turn, then 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm going to chat with y'all about a few things, and feel free to ask any questions while I sit here and finish the arm of my plant hanger here. Okay, so first let's talk about 4 arms versus 3 arm plant hangers. So full disclosure, is it okay that my bead is a little smaller? Should I do more rows? Oh, because you have your own materials, right, Elizabeth? It's either way. I mean, even if you wanted to add like 2 beads in there, like you could do a bead. If you're doing spiral though, right? You could do like a bead and then put like a square knot between it, and then do another bead, and then start your spiral again if you wanted to add more beads. But it shouldn't like mess up anything with the length. It's just more if you want more beads in there. You can add more beads if you have them. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Elizabeth. Let me know. So 4 arms versus 3 arms. Okay, so normally in my in-person classes, we do a 3-arm plant hanger, and we're doing a 4-arm in this one, which is actually better bang for your buck. So the difference between the two, it does, thank you. Okay, good. A 3-arm plant hanger is great because you're using less material. So if you were going to do a 3-arm plant hanger, you would, instead of using 8 pieces of rope, you would use 6 pieces of rope. So if you use 6 pieces of rope and you threaded it through the wood ring, and so that then doubles your amount of pieces. So then you have 12 pieces. And then for each of our arms, we're always going to use 4 pieces of rope to make our square knot or our spiral knot. So then 12 divided by 4, that's 3 arm plant hanger. Okay. So if you do want to do a 3 arm plant hanger, you would use 6 pieces of rope instead of 8 pieces of rope. So advantages of a 3 arm plant hanger: you can use less rope. So that's 40 pieces or 40 feet of rope that you're saving. And it's great because if you have the pot that you are going to use, you can fit it directly to your 3 arm plant hanger. You can do that with a 4 arm plant hanger too. The thing is that a 3 arm plant hanger, I always will fit that to the pot that I'm using because the 3 arm plant hanger has less arms going around it, which means that it has less that's holding our pot in. It has one less arm holding it in. It's a little bit more precarious. So it's great for bigger potted plants. Something that's really going to make it expand a little wider. But if you're going to say you're going to give a plant hanger for a gift, I would always say give a 4 arm plant hanger because you don't know what size pot they're going to put in it. And the great thing about a 4 arm plant hanger is that it has a much wider range of the size of pot you can put in it. So you can put a much smaller pot in it, even if you fit it, say you fit it for like a 10-inch pot, it would still be okay to put like a 4 or 6-inch pot in there. After adding bead, should you do 3 spiral to the left, then twist for a total of 6, or start with 6, then 6, then 6, then 3 to equal 21? You'll start over, Brenda. So you'll do your 6 rows after your bead and then turn it. I hope that makes sense. So you're basically just starting over. You're going to do the exact same thing you did before the bead here. You'll just do it again after the bead. Okay. And also that's all in your pattern too. If you need it there to reference. So if you're ever giving a plant hanger for a gift, I would say always do a 4 arm plant hanger, unless you're like giving a plant with it, then you can fit it to the pot. But if you know what size pot you're going to put in it, then make a 3 arm plant hanger, because then you can save on materials, and you don't have to use as much rope. Does that make sense? So we did a 4 arm one on this one since, I know some of you guys might not have your plants, and also just because it's quarantine and like it's more knotting that you get to do. Maybe you may not feel like that right now. Maybe you're like, like knotting's a little harder than I thought it would be. But usually once you get the knot down, it's actually pretty easy, and you can kind of I hope you're feeling that you can kind of get into a rhythm with it. It's kind of meditative. I get that comment a lot in all of my classes, and actually like sometimes even when I get like a stressful email, I'm like, I think I'm going to do some macrame and just kind of knot this out. I find it very therapeutic and meditative. So it's a little bit more knotting to make your piece too. And then in terms of other things I want to tell you. Okay, so I'll put everywhere it is so relaxing. Tracy said, yay, good. So I will also put all of the links to where you can buy materials in as a comment on this live chat after we exit or after we finish. They're also already linked in the first live chat that's in this group from about a week ago. But, you know, I want you to be able to make as many plant hangers as you want to make after this. So there's a few different places you can get rope. The rope that you're using for your pieces, it's all from Knot and Rope Supply, which is a company here actually in Ohio. It's in Perrysburg. And they make, I hope you can see, like really great quality rope. It's 100% cotton. We're using a 3/16 inch thickness. That equates to about a 5 millimeter thickness. I've found that some places will refer to it by the inch, how thick it is, and some by millimeter, just to kind of give you an idea. But I'll also link where you can find the beads and the ring for it. And even if you need help finding S-hooks, I'm happy to put that there as well. In terms of colored rope, non-rope has a couple of color options. But if you want to make colored rope plant hangers, there's a couple places to get colored rope. So you can get colored rope like on big spools like this from Modern Macrame. I'll link them too. And you can also get it from Ganex. It's GANXXET. And you can get these smaller spools that come with about 150 feet on them. The spools from Modern Macrame, they're actually making a switch over to 600-foot spools. The one that I was showing you was a 1,000-foot one, but they're switching over to have a more environmentally friendly option. But this has 150 feet. So for this project, we're using 172 feet of rope, just to give you an idea. So if you wanted to make a couple of these, you might buy like 3 of these cones of rope. I think they're about, I want to say $10 to $12. Just to give you an idea. Okay, I'm gonna catch up here with y'all now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. Everyone's still doing okay? Any questions that you guys have? You guys are very... It's amazing to me how we can have, I don't know, 3 or 4 times the amount of people we had in the last virtual workshop, but you guys are quiet. Started second arm. Is that okay? Yes, yeah. So when you're ready, you can go to your next 4 and start your second arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Okay, so we're using 20 feet of rope, which is a lot. Like we're making plant hangers that are about 4 feet long. Tracy said I'm starting the second one too. Great. Everyone else doing okay? Some of you guys are being real quiet. So generally the rule with plant hangers is however long you want the plant hanger to be. So say you want it to be 4 feet long, you'll take that and multiply it times 5 to figure out how long your rope needs to be. Starting the second arm too. Yay! But there are definitely exceptions to that. So I'm giving y'all 20 feet, and this is what I always, that's the amount of rope I always do in my classes too. And we're doing like a very extensive amount of knotting on this. However, you can do plant hangers where you doing great. Kim said, yay, my sister-in-law Kim is here. I'm so excited. I hope your boys are not bothering you, Kim. I hope they're giving you some alone time. You deserve it. But say that you are doing something like this, but I have a plant hanger that I offer in my shop where I will do negative space here at the top. So I'll leave, let's say, 8 inches of just negative space, meaning that, let me bring this guy here. I would just not do any knotting for the first 8 inches, and then I would start my spiral like 8 inches down and then start knotting. So when you add in negative space, boys are doing wonderful. Kitties are attacking my rope. Yes. Cats love macrame rope, and they think that it, like, dancing across the floor is just a little game that you're doing for them. But yeah, like, if you do like a plant hanger with a lot of negative space, like, you might be able to get away with 15 feet of rope instead of 20 feet of rope, because you're not using all of this rope for knotting if you're leaving some space and then doing knotting and then leaving a little bit more space, if that makes sense. So you can really kind of play around with that. That being said, it's always better to have more rope than to run out of rope. Running out of rope is just really the worst. So I always err on the side of going a little longer. I'd rather trim some off than run out. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21. Okay. So yeah, so there are like very minimal plant hangers that I offer like in my Etsy shop that I will even use like only 12 feet or 10 feet of rope for, that have like very little knotting in them. So you can always just kind of give that a try. As far as that rule that I mentioned, like however long you want it to be, multiply it times 5. We are knotting up a storm here. All good, Brenda said. Cool. Usually the rule, if you're making a wall hanging, is to multiply it times 3. So usually for my wall hangings, and for my wall hanging workshop that I do, I usually am giving my students 15 feet of rope to start with. I would say don't do a wall hanging with 20 feet of rope unless you're trying to make something really long, like a backdrop or something for a wedding. I was telling in the first class, I was telling about how I made table runners for my wedding, and oh my gosh, pretty much obsessed already. Linda said, yay. Okay, I honestly take it as like, if I'm not getting a lot of a lot of comments in here, but there are a lot of people still watching, that like, you're just in it, and that's great. That's what I want to happen. Yeah, my table runners for my wedding were about 8 feet long, and oh my goodness, they took like 45 feet of rope. Almost done with my second arm, Kathy said, yay. and I like recruited friends to help me with them, and I ended up having to add in rope with them because I just never thought there would be 45 feet of rope. It was so much rope. But I had to add rope into them, and trust me, I would never recommend you add rope in on a plant hanger because it's bearing weight. This is awesome. My hands hurt, but I'm loving it. Good. Yeah, and your hands might hurt a little bit just from, again, like if these are muscles you're not used to using. However, like if you're finding that they're always hurting when you do macrame, Annie, you might be pulling too hard. Like you might be gripping too hard when you're pulling your stuff. So that's just something to kind of notice. Just so you know. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yay. Okay. I'm using a curtain rod to hang it from. I haven't had my arms up for this long in a long time. Yes. Also from all the hand washing. My hands are a bit dry, but hand washing is good. Yes. Oh my gosh. I've been putting lotion on my hands like crazy. Kara, yes. I would definitely recommend if you're going to keep doing macrame. I'm going to have nice biceps after all the knotting. Yeah. I mean, I wish I could say I have like intense guns. I do think like I have a lot of shoulder strength from it. But I would definitely say if you're going to do a lot of macrame, invest in a garment rack, especially one that's adjustable, meaning that like it can go up and down. Like I got mine from either Lowe's or Home Depot, and I want to say they were like originally $20, but I got them on sale for like $12 or something. And you will not regret it. It's really nice to have. A lot of times, like if they are adjustable ones, you can push them all the way down so they come down to like about waist level. And you can kind of fold them up, put them in a closet. IKEA has them for $12. My mom got one for weaving. Cool. Oh yeah. Yeah, cool. I would definitely recommend, good investment for knotting. I literally can't knot any other way now than with a garment rack. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust my camera and put it lower so I can show y'all how to do the basket. So it might take a little bit of trial and error using a wreath hook on my front door. That's awesome, Linda. Let's see. I'm going to go a little lower. I'm still going to go just a little bit lower. Yeah, I feel good about that. Get my chair. Y'all, I'm a little bit worried that my cats have like, I don't even know. I'm so surprised they have not bothered us. I love the story of you recruiting your friends for your table runners. Very special to have them be a part in that way. Yeah, it really was. It was really nice because they all just came over and we had like a waffle brunch one day. And it was cool because it was also like I got to teach them how to do macrame, and it was fun. Yeah. But then it was like, you know, we all knotted for like a few hours, and then I still had to finish them all because it was just that much knotting. I don't know. If I had to do it again, if I'm really, really honest, I think I would have done something else. Like doing all of those table runners, I had visions that I would rent them out a lot for my business, and I've rented them out like a couple times, but mostly, especially now that I'm moving everything from my studio back to my home studio. Did you keep them? Yes, I have them. Yeah. They're actually going to be like in the sale that I'm doing. Like I'm going to sell all but like one or two of them. But yeah, just like the space that they take up, it's like I have 2 full bins of them. And didn't you do your huge backdrop too? Yeah, I did. Yes. And that's going to hang in my home studio. But all the projects I did for my wedding, it was like only like a third of the things I thought I was going to do for my wedding. Like I thought I was just going to do like fiber everywhere. And then as we got closer, I was just like, I got to give some of these ideas up. I got to just like focus on a couple things. Okay. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to start talking about how to do the basket of your plant hanger for you. So you guys can keep nodding along and listen. I would be shocked if you had your 4 arms of your plant hanger done already. So again, this is probably something that you'll have to reference back later. I think definitely like if you were like, I'm going to do it and power through, you could finish your plant hanger tonight within, 30 minutes or so of us getting off of the video chat. But also if you need to finish tomorrow, no big deal. But make sure that you finish. That's one thing that I love about doing in-person classes onto the 3rd arm. Woo, yay! Is that, and people that have done in-person classes with me that are in here can attest. I make you leave. I have 4 arms and Allison, calm down. Look at you. 3rd arm. Oh, good. Maybe I'm just chatting way more than I think that I am. But I make you leave with a finished product. There's such power in making something from start to finish, especially if you can do it in a day. It gives you creative confidence like you would not believe to do that, especially if that's not something that you've done for a while. So I want you to all pinky promise me that you're going to finish them no matter what. Okay. So we've got our 4 arms done. And as it is right now, we just have 4 separate arms that are hanging here. But we need to do something to connect them together so that our pot will actually stay in there, right? So we need to create like a basket to hold our pot in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at 2 of our arms here. And if I'm looking at my 2 arms, I'm going to take, I'm so confused on sides now, I can't even think about it. This would be my left side to y'all. Okay. And this would be whatever I think it is just the opposite. Okay. So this would be my left arm, and I would take my right 2 pieces, and then on my right arm I would take my left 2 pieces, and I'm going to meet in the middle here to make my new 4 pieces. Okay, so I've got my left arm, I've taken my right 2 pieces, my right arm, I've taken my left 2 pieces, and I'm meeting in the middle here to have my new 4 pieces. So this is where you're going to have to use your square knot knowledge, okay? We're going to do a square knot here. When we do our square knot, we're going to do it about 4 inches down, 3 or 4 inches. Don't lose too much sleep over if it's exactly 4 or anything like that. Again, like about the length of your fist down is what we want to do, okay? So then we're just going to make our square knot. We'll do left in front, then behind our right, right behind, and then in front of our left, and then right in front, then behind the left, left, behind, and then in front of the right. So we've made our first square knot there. And you're going to make, I think you took both ropes from the right side. Should it be the 4 middle pieces? It should be, so if you look at it, Kathy, yeah, so if you're looking at them like, oh, I've got 8 pieces of rope across, then you would take the 4 middle. But it's basically, if you have your arm of your plant hanger, you're going to take those 4 pieces and split it in 2, and then take your right 2 pieces from that one, and then your left 2 pieces from the one beside it, and you're going to meet in the middle. Does that answer your question? I hope I understood your question correctly. But you're basically just taking your 4 here, splitting it in 2, and you'll do this all the way around. You'll take 2 from this one and 2 from the one beside it, meet in the middle, then the next 2 and the next 2, and do that all the way around. Okay, so I've done my 1 square knot, and then I'm going to do 1 more. And when you're doing that square knot, you're actually doing, okay, that makes sense. It looked funny until you pulled them apart. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it can be kind of hard to see. Yeah. So yeah, it's 2 from each arm there. And what's kind of interesting is that your middle pieces that weren't doing, my cat is being obnoxious enough to make up for yours being absent. That's so funny, Kara. Your pieces that your outside pieces that you're knotting with when you make this square knot are actually your inside pieces from before, which is kind of funny. So you make 1 square knot, and then you're going to make 1 more square knot right under it. So you're going to make 2 square knots total. Now, you can, if you want to, do more than 2 square knots. About how far down do you make the knot? About 3 to 4 inches, Elizabeth. Yeah, about 3 to 4 inches. Oh, you can, if you want to, you can make more than 2 square knots. I would say no more than 5. If you do too many there, I always just do 2. Well, I have 1 plant hanger that I make where I do 4. And again, that's something that's great if you have a bigger pot. You might want to make more square knots, but I usually stick with about 2. But you don't want to do more than like 4 or 5, because it can make it so that the hole is too big here, and then your pot could fall through. So I'm going to do 1 more square knot right underneath this. Uh-oh, I think I hear a kitty. Or it might be a kid outside, actually. Okay, so then 1, 2 square knots here. So then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to continue to go around to make my basket. So then I'm going to take my right 2 from this one and my left 2 from this one. And these will be my new 4. And then I'll make my square knots again. And you want to try to line it up so it's about the same height as the one beside it, if you can. Now, if you mess that up and they're a little bit off, once you put your pot in there, because they'll be spread apart, it's not going to be something where they're like right beside each other and you can tell that one's a little bit higher than the other. If it's extreme, I would say take it out and redo it. But if it's just very slight, they're going to be on, 4 sides of your pot. So they're not right beside each other. No one's going to know but you. It's like when you make a mistake when you're cooking. Nobody will know but you. It's fine. And then, I'm just going to continue to go around and do this for all 4 of them. I hope I just did my square knot right. It's so weird for me to keep coming from the right side instead of from the left side because I'm so used to doing it. Yep, I didn't do it right that way. This mirror imaging has messed with my head. Okay. All right, and again, if it gets a little bit twisted around, you can always take your ring and flip it to the other side if it makes it easier. Just so you know that you can always. I'll see some people that will be like they'll walk around their garment rack rather than flip their ring around, which is really funny. So yeah, you can flip that ring around on your S hook. Okay, so now I've got 2 square knots all the way around, and all of my arms are connected to one another. Okay, I'm going to take a quick sip of water, and then I'm going to show you the next step. It's so intense how this feels like the height of my social activity for the past month. I'm like, I haven't done this much talking and since I don't know when. Okay. So I've made my basket all the way around. Okay. So then to finish it off, you're going to do, remember we did our gathering knot up here. You're going to do another gathering knot down here at the bottom. Ooh. Let me move this back a little so you can see. Down here at the bottom. Okay? So here's the way to figure out where you put your gathering knot. If you want to, you can just do it another 3 to 4 inches down, and I can tell you from experience that will fit like an 8 to 10 inch pot. Great. Okay? But I really do want you to see if you can practice, if you do have a pot, measuring to the pot that you have, because it's a really nice skill to have. So if you have a pot, you can go ahead and you can put it in your basket here. And then what you want to do when you're putting your pot in, and I'm holding it down underneath here, and this is a pretty small pot that I have here. I think it's like a 5 or 6 inch pot. Is you want the arms of your plant hanger to come out as wide as they will go, while putting your pot as low as possible. And usually that looks like the top of your pot hitting about the bottom of your knotting on the arm of your plant hanger. And then your square knot should be on the sides here. Okay, so if you go lower than this, I want you to watch what happens as I move my hand lower. You'll see that the arms of my plant hanger start to come in, and it's also leaving these big holes right here that my pot, if I went down far enough, could potentially get knocked out through. Especially since so many of us have mischievous kitties, right? So, good rule of thumb is you want your pot, the top of your pot, to hit about the bottom of your knotting here, and that will cause the arms of your plant hanger to come out as wide as possible. Okay, that's what gives it the best effect there. So usually what I'll do is I'll put my pot in, I'll find that spot, I'll put my hand there, and then I'll take the pot out. And then I'm just keeping my hand here, and then I will grab another 6-foot piece of rope, so your second 6-foot piece of rope, And then I'll do my gathering knot down here. Let me see if I guess I could just back up a little bit more. Okay. So then I'll just do another gathering knot down here at the bottom to hold that into place. And this is the one I want you to be, how much weight will this hold? Oh, that's a great question. It really, I would say like 20 pounds easy. Like I wouldn't put much more than that. I would be more concerned about what hook you're going to use. Like you can use one of those hooks that will attach to your wall and then it protrudes out and then has that little hook on the end. About how far down do you oh no, sorry, that's from before, Elizabeth. But then you can also get a hook that will go into the ceiling and it will be like you will drill like a little hole in the ceiling and then you can, you just take it and you kind of push it through and then it kind of grabs on. It expands and grabs on. Those are the best ones that I found, and you can find ones that will hold up to like 60 pounds. The other thing to think about is that you all got wood rings. I would not use a wood ring plant hanger outside. So I wouldn't put it like on you could maybe get away with it on a covered porch, but I would much rather you use a metal ring, which I will put a link for metal rings in this as well. Because wood, if it gets wet, it can like expand and contract until it breaks. Whereas the temperature in your house and also like it's probably not going to get wet in your house, right? But it has to do with if it's getting wet and then also temperature too. But the temperature in your house is going to be a lot more stable as well. So it won't have that expand and contract. So these are definitely wood rings, indoor plant hangers, but you can use a metal ring for outside. I hope that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to finish my gathering knot here. Just remember too, like if you feel nervous, which I've honestly, like I have like a double plant hanger in my studio that gets pretty heavy. You know, I've never weighed it. I'm not very good at like being able to weigh, but you know, when you water a plant, it gets heavier because it's holding all that water in. So if you're nervous, I would say take the plant out when you're watering. If you're feeling concerned about that, if you have like a very large plant in there, but, or like a really heavy pot, I guess. But I've never had, which I shouldn't say this because then it will happen. But I've never had one break because of weight. I've only seen that happen when people have put wood rings outside. So then once I make my gathering knot on the bottom, I'll put my pot back in before I cut anything just to make sure it looks great. It's where I want it to be. That looks how I want it to look. Yep. And then I'll take it back out. And then I'll go ahead and give it, remember that tightening on each side. And then I'll trim it. Okay. And then once I've done that, you have two options for how you can finish the bottom. You can cut it as long as you would like for it to be. I would say that if you're like, oh, I don't know how long I want it to be, or if you have cats, I would say go ahead, you could hang it up and then trim it if you're a little nervous about it. I usually will leave, what would we say, maybe like 18 inches to 2 feet, just depending on like the look that I want for it. But once you cut it, you can leave it straight, or if you want a fringe look. So let me grab one. I have this already made here. So this is the fringe look that I'm talking about. Instead of just leaving it just straight like this. So if you want to have a fringe look, you can actually take your piece, go ahead and cut it to the length that you want it to be. Oh, here we go. Cut it to the length you want it to be, and then to fringe the ends of your rope, you can just take it and just unravel it at the end, just like this, and you would unravel it all the way up to the bottom of your gathering knot. That's a super tedious task. I would say that it's definitely, I always joke in my classes that I have like a trigger for unraveling rope where I have to be like drinking wine and watching Netflix because it's just very, very tedious. It's super boring. So definitely like that's an activity that you can check out for. Definitely a great thing to do while you're watching TV. But then once you do that, you're all done and it's ready to hang. As we're finishing up here, does anyone have any last minute questions? Like I said, I will link where you can find materials. And I'll put, well, actually, you can reference in your pattern, again, how much rope we used for this one. Like we were talking about, if you were going to do a 3-arm plant hanger, that would be more like 150 feet of rope than 170. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, is there any other questions that I can answer for y'all while we're all in here together? Or if you my nephews say hi, Aunt Sarah. Oh, hi guys, I miss you guys. If there's another class that you want to see in the future, since it seems like we're still going to be quarantining for a little while, it seems like. So the next one I'm working on is circle weaving. My long pieces are so long. I feel very sad for them because they're going to get cut off. Oh, here's a good trick, Tracy. I meant to say this. Thank you. So your really long ones from the middle, those pieces, once you cut them off, they are usually about 6 feet. So I usually will keep them in a scrap bin and then I'll use them for my gathering knots on my next plant hanger. So that's like a nice way you can use it. Also 6 feet is plenty for doing like a small, wall hanging too. So maybe that's something that I could maybe jump in this group like later in the week or something and show you how to use your 6-foot pieces, your scraps, to make like a small easy wall hanging. Yes, circle weaving looks so cool and colorful. Yay! Yeah, circle weaving is the next on my list that I'm working on right now to do another virtual class. That one, and you guys can weigh in here for what you think. What I think I'm going to do, Cheryl will make a toy for her kitties, Lily, with leftover rope pieces. That's always a great idea too. giving, like, usually when my cats are like really bothering me with rope, I will just toss a piece of scrap rope for them, and that usually will like pacify them. For the circle weaving, I think how I'm doing it right now is that I think I'm still going to have a virtual workshop like this, but it will be like a video course instead of a PDF with videos that you can reference on my YouTube. Like it will mostly be just a video course going over different techniques. But then I also want to do a virtual class that will basically be like just free, like something that people can come and watch even if they don't get the class. So what I mean by that is that it will be like a video class, and then there will be an optional like kit that you can buy as well, is what I'm thinking right now. If you feel like it would be better something like this where it's just a kit altogether with a PDF, you can leave a comment and let me know that. But I think this will be easier because then I can kind of do different videos showing different techniques, and it will still show you how to do a circle weave from start to finish. But then also you can just kind of try the first kind of beginning techniques and maybe finish one all together and then move on to more advanced techniques, stuff like that. It just kind of like giving more of a instead of just being like, here's a pattern to do one kind of circle weaving from start to finish and here's your kit to do it. It would be a more comprehensive course that's like, here's everything I know about circle weaving and here's all the techniques that you can incorporate into a circle weave, if that makes sense. That's what I'm working on right now. So I'm interested to see how that will go, since it's a little bit different than what I've done for this with a pattern and a kit. Yeah. Any other questions before we hop off? I have no idea how long we've gone. I'm so sorry if it's gone super, super long. I have a feeling it has because my husband is home from the grocery store and he takes forever when he goes to the grocery store. So maybe we've been on here for forever. Any other questions? Will this video be available later tonight? Yes. So it will just stay in this group. So once we hop off, I'll save it into this group so you can come back and reference it for finishing up your plant hanger. Yep. And also, if you scroll down, the one that I did about a week ago is in there too. Should be about the same as what this class was tonight, but it's there for you to reference as well. And then making my basket now, loving how this is turning out. Yay, thank you, this was fun. Yay, great. And yeah, if you guys, first comment, but I love this, first time macrame, and I finished the whole hanger, yay. Yeah, macrame is a super fun, quick craft. I'm glad you guys have had fun. If you want to share your finished piece once you get it hung up, you can share it in this group. If you're on Instagram, I'm at Sarah Harsty. You can share it there too. I'd love to see it. It makes me just like beyond happy to see your finished pieces like in your homes. It's just like circle of life. I love it. Tracy said, this is so much fun, Sarah. I can't wait to show you my finished product tomorrow. We'll definitely do a social media tag as well. Cool. Yay. Awesome. Well, if you have any questions after the fact, you can leave them on a comment after we're done on this video or just in the group, and I'm happy to answer them. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys had a lot of fun, and good luck future quarantining. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.